Hemang, good morning. Thank you for joining us. US markets have started falling, Bitcoin has reversed, crude is down. Is it time to get more optimistic that if US markets on the dollar index, which was a pain point for us, if that was the reason why FIs were selling, could that turn now?
Yeah, good morning, Nukunj. So I do think that having seen a major correction at the index level, at the broader market level, at some point things should stabilize. More importantly, the market was looking for some sort of a trigger on the earnings or the economic data points because of the slowdown that we have seen in Q2 and Q3 both. So I think once you see the initial indications of a pickup as far as data points are concerned, and the fact that now that we have already corrected a lot, and the US markets also is giving you signs of some sort of stabilization or consolidation, you should see the stability here. Definitely, Nikunj. It would be very difficult. As we've seen it again, it's been a painful grind for last almost 4 months, but we are nearing that. So I do think that market should stabilize and should see a bit of a revival.
Hemang, have to ask you about UltraTech's, diversification now. The fact that they've announced the entry into cables and wires segment with that initial capex of about 18 billion odd rupees. You think it's a positive strategic development given that it is a high margin business?
Yeah, good morning, Aisha. I think for the size of UltraTech, the balance sheet and the presence it has in the cement looks like a small investment, about 1,800 odd crore. I don't think for UltraTech it's going to move the needle too much. While it may want to use its distribution and try to get some synergies across their building materials and solutions business, I don't think there is any material impact that one can possibly think of. But I think for the existing incumbent players like Polycab, KEI, RR Kabel, and so on and so forth, I do think that because of the kind of growth that they were displaying, because of the kind of multiple at which they were trading at, you would definitely see a knee-jerk reaction. Eventually, one will have to really figure out whether there's going to be any material impact on the growth. But I do think that in the short run, names like Polycab, Havels, Finolex Cable, RR Kabel will go through a bit of a derating and correction.
Give me one or two names which are looking cheap. You would say, I would buy them more if they fall more. I would add them and I would continue to add them if they fall even 10% from here. I will not be scared with the fall. What's looking dirt cheap?
Nikunj, is that question for me?
That's right, Hemang. It's for you.
So, Nikunj, when I look at the market, I think the mid cap stocks still are quoting at a premium. But when I look at some of the companies, I do think that the companies which are looking quite compelling at this point are basically something like let's say PG Electroplast, not cheap, but at least on the growth front, it is looking quite compelling to me. Definitely some of the fertilizer companies which have corrected and where the numbers have been good. Chambal numbers were extraordinarily good. Even the other fertilizer companies like RCF have corrected quite a lot. So I do think there is some value. And of course, the NBFCs and the banking space overall, is looking quite okay. It's been relatively stable. And given the growth outlook in terms of loan growth, etc., I do think that large private sector banks, some of the PSU banks are available at a compelling valuations.
This entire entry of Tesla, what it means for EV companies in India, that certainly set cat amongst the pigeon. But looks like markets have realized that Tesla could come, may not come. Even if it comes, it will not impact the portfolios or car companies' portfolios in the short term.
I think so, Nikunj, while there is so much of hype around the Tesla entry, it's not very clear whether it's going to be through a manufacturing plant that they are looking to set up, or they will just take advantage of the concessional duty that might be offered as a part of a trade deal. And when you look at the portfolio of Tesla versus what is there for names like Maruti, Mahindra, and many other car companies, it's hardly going to make an impact of 2 or 3%, at best. And the stocks have corrected. We've seen how Mahindra, to some extent, Maruti corrected when the news were out. So I do think Mahindra and Bharti both could be a good bets for some sort of a pullback. Now that the impact may not look that big, I do think that it will take a while for get some more clarity. But having this kind of correction, having seen this kind of a correction, definitely I would be very comfortable buying into these REITs.
Bharti, that's going to be the other stock which is going to be in focus. The company is exploring the possibility of combing their DTH arm with Tata Play. And Bharti, of course, has been one of the most resilient and the strongest of large cap names in this current market fall, stood by at that 1641 odd price level. Hemang, what's the thought on Bharti?
So Aisha, very stable kind of stock in this entire mayhem that we have seen in the market, and numbers were exceptionally good. It has the best correlation to the operating profit versus the top line growth or the ARPU increase that the companies are undertaking. So no issues on that. And the only thing is that now that it has done so well, when you see the market performing, there might be a bit of an underperformance because of the kind of movement that it has given. But definitely as a part of the core portfolio, I would be very positive on Bharti because of the kind of earnings visibility that it is displaying.
It's an interesting stock, right? I mean, we need to understand that Jubilant FoodWorks goes through its patches of cyclicality, ups and downs. But when they come back, they really surprise you with growth and with momentum. Where is that company headed in next 3 years?
So Nikunj, after seeing a bit of volatility, we've seen that most of the QSR companies have delivered reasonably good growth in Q3. In fact, Q2, Jubilant was one of the better performing stocks, partly because of the certain offerings, etc. But I think the way they have adapted this entire delivery, module, digital platform, the new product offerings that they have thought of, I think by and large they are doing much better than some of the other players in the market. So I do think that in the discretionary or consumption space, if one has to look out for opportunities, this would be the first name that I could think of. Of course, you will have some sort of a disruption because of the kind of offering that people are making. Particularly the quick commerce guys on the food side, the kind of offering that they have could have some issues and may require some readjustment to their business models. But overall, positive view on Jubilant FoodWorks.
Well, the analyst meet also comes at a very, very interesting point, given the kind of alleged, all the allegations that have been made on the promoter, although, of course, the company denied that and they did hand out a clarification as of day before. About all the articles which were being published in media. But other than that, a bunch of other stocks which are going to be in focus, and would be interesting to see what MFIs as well as NBFCs would be up to, given that RBI has now reduced the risk weight assets requirement for certain loans. Hemang, do you think MFI as a segment which had been so beaten down because of all the curbs that were put in place, you think that has a chance to now bottom out perhaps?
I do think that the MFI as a space has seen the worst pain in the last about 2 or 3 quarters. So at some point, the valuations, etc., would kind of bottom out. But what is important for us to understand is that one has to see, risk reward, because some of the banks, some of the NBFCs which are offering, secured loans, they are also they have corrected quite a lot. So we will have to really strike some sort of a balance between the risk and reward. And I would definitely think that, some of the NBFCs, something like a Muthoot, Manappuram, the housing finance companies like LIC Housing Finance or banks, they are better bets versus an MFI, which has its own sort of pattern, and you rarely see a big wealth creation through MFI per se. You might find one or two winners, but as a theme, I don't think it has done so well.
Pharma, aut- pharma, autos, metals, three categories where the Trump impact, in a sense, has really shaken the nerve, so to speak. Pharma, because, well, Indian companies export to US. Pharma tariffs go higher. What will happen to Dr. Reddy, Cipla, Aurobindo Pharma? You know the names. Then there is autos, where if Tesla comes to India, what will happen? I think that's been far-fetched. I think nothing may change that incrementally. However, for companies which have presence in Europe, let's say Tata Motors or Motherson Sumi, a lot could change. Why? Because the exports which are coming from Europe, they certainly will come under scrutiny. For cars which are coming from China, they will certainly come under scrutiny. So that is the second part. Third, I just want to look at, while we are talking about correction, Kunal, just dekho, Microsoft is down, Tesla is down, I think Nvidia is down. Nobody is talking about it, right? Strength in US market, but reality is that the BAP stocks, what we call them, the Dadas.
The top 7 names.
The top 7 have started correcting.
Yeah, they started correcting.
Is it true? Then 15%? I was just reading a data in the morning.
I'll see that in my software once I open that.
You got global rates also?
Yes, I have global rates.
Oh, great.
If you select global stocks like Berkshire Hathaway also, that's another name which is there in my software.
You've invested Berkshire Hathaway?
No. There are certain set of stocks like
20, but Berkshire Hathaway, man, the baby share or the big share?
We do track it.
No, you bought the baby stock or the big one? No, can tell me.
No, the big one.
The $2 lakh.
Yeah, the $2 lakh.
Oh man, like classic. I thought you were into technicals, man.
Right next to us. Who's been buying?
Hemang Jani, we only think about it, but Kunal has already acted. He's bought Berkshire Hathaway A shares.
Oh, that's nice. I think Nikunj, given the way our market has actually performed, and while we all are talking about Indian market and India story and many other things which could be true at some point, the fact of the matter, Nikunj, is that in the last 2-3 years, the US markets, despite being such a large market, has done so well. And of course, some of the large technology companies have done well, but you look at the broader market, S&P 500, Nasdaq 100. Last 2 years or so, they have comprehensively beaten India market even before the currency adjustment. So it is high time that people look out for some opportunities rather than just feeling that you have no other options, etc. Of course, the timing will have to be seen. We can't really catch the market when it's doing so well. But good diversification across certain geographies would surely help investors.
Chat, given that their numbers came out post-market hours on Tuesday, and the numbers, of course, are impressive. They've turned profitable now. The EBITDA stands at 210 crore rupees, ex, of course, the 316 crore rupee forex component. They've achieved a positive net worth now of about 70 crore rupees. We already know about the passenger traffic load, and that's been very, very impressive. The load factor is now standing at about 87%. The total amount spent for ungrounding aircraft, that stands at 170 crore rupees. And yeah, the net worth has turned positive for the first time in almost a decade's time for SpiceJet. So that's going to be one key stock to look out for. But Hemang, as limited as the options within the listed aviation space would be, would you still stick by with Interglobe?
Definitely think so, Aisha, because while SpiceJet has been offering a lot of promise, it's taking far too long to show any kind of operational performance. And what is concerning is that the lack of transparency in sharing the key operational data. While this quarter was good, partly because of the Kumbh and the general activity. I don't think people are going to get excited. So you don't have any other choice. I think Interglobe by far has been the best play. Even at this point, despite the valuations, when you look at the overall growth visibility with 2 new airports coming in, one in Mumbai, one in Noida, and more importantly, the additional aircrafts that they will get, I think their positioning will be far more formidable. And with price remaining where they are, I think it would be a no-brainer go with Intergroup.
No-brainer, stick by with Interglobe, the dominant one with in terms of the market share and of course proven track record as well. But Kunal, around 44.20.
Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us. We're also now getting the market.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.